Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in AP English, and we turn now in our Roberts discussion to page 779, David Wohn's It's Only Rock and Roll But I Like It, The Fall of Saigon from 1975 and then 1990. Now this is one of those really interesting texts that requires some historical background knowledge, both in terms of the Vietnam War as well as a rock and roll band called the Rolling Stones, which increasingly larger numbers of you don't know about. So we're going to have to talk a little bit about both of these. First of all, just to Wojahn himself, he was born in 1953. He is an American poet teaching poetry at the Virginia Commonwealth U. He has won the Poets Prize as well as the Guggenheim Fellowship of Creative Arts. And in this poem speaks directly to the power of media and the power of a poem to somehow capture a sentiment about a moment in history and time that, of course, in American history is truly tragic on so many counts, the Vietnam conflict. Let's go ahead and just read the poem, and then we'll come back to talk about the real power of this text. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. The Fall of Saigon. The guttural stammer of the chopper blades, raising arbusks of dusk, tearing leaves from the orange trees lining the embassy compound. One chopper left, and a CBS cameraman leans from inside its door, exploiting the artful mayhem. Somewhere, a radio blares the Stones. I like it, yes indeed. Carts full of files blaze in the yard. Flat-jacketed Marines gunpoint the crowd away. The overloaded chopper strains and blunders from the roof. An ice cream-suited Saigonese drops his briefcase. Both hands now cling to the airborne skis. The camera gets it all. The Marine leaning out the chopper bay, his fists beating time. Then the hands giving way. Now we have a number of things happening simultaneously in this really powerful text. First of all, we've got the evacuation of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon as the end of the Vietnam conflict will now tragically be played out on video, on TV later, on video. It's being captured. And if so many of you have grown up now in the post-Vietnam era, and so you'll have to YouTube to see some of these videos that are compelling videos of people longing to escape Saigon, because of course soon there will be all kinds of terrible things that will happen for certain Saigonese that will be left. And so there's this quest to get out, and it will involve even the final moments when the last chopper will leave. At the same time, we will have those few remaining Marines still left in Saigon at the embassy who are in charge of making sure that the Americans get out before the complete collapse of what will happen in the mayhem. Here, notice it's artful mayhem. So you got people screaming and people running and shouting and all of that. So this poem is trying to capture that as well. Let's just go ahead and work through it now. We begin with some powerful imagery. The guttural stammer of the chopper blades, and then of course the dust that's coming up, right? The leaves being torn from the orange trees lining the embassy compound. And again, when you see video of this, you recognize that it was a well-groomed area for a while, and then of course it just became part of the catastrophe that was the end of the war. Notice at line 3 you have that colon there, right? One chopper left. A CBS cameraman leans from inside its door. Exploiting is an interesting verb. The artful mayhem. Artful mayhem, of course, is the key line of this entire poem, right? And then all of a sudden there's a break. So that's your first line, first true sentence. And there's a break. Somewhere, a radio blares the Stones, of course the Rolling Stones, and then instead of giving us It's Only Rock and Roll But I Like It, which is in the title, it's another part of the chorus, I like it, yes indeed. So you've got this music that's playing really loud of a Rolling Stones song, okay, one of, if not the most famous of 3 most famous British rock groups, along with the Beatles and the Who, the Rolling Stones. And then you've got a Marine who, we'll hear later, is beating on the side of the chopper, time with the song, right? Carts. Now we're going to move away from that to what else is going on here. Carts full of files blaze in the yard. There was this attempt to try to burn everything that would have been of importance that couldn't have been taken out of the country, right? On fire, right? And then flak-jacketed Marines, gunpoint is an interesting verb, the crowd away. So in other words, you've got people who are just longing, begging to get on the last chopper out, and the Marines are having to, of course, tell them, stay back, stay back. The overloaded chopper strains and blunders from the roof. What a great, couple of verbs to qualify the powerful imagery here as the chopper is trying to get off of the ground, right? And then, brilliant adjective. The ice cream suited Saigonese one drops his briefcase. Both hands now cling to the airborne skis. So he literally grabs hold of the skis of the chopper to try and get away. The camera gets it all. Now, this, many have argued, is the most cynical line of a number of lines that are really cynical in this text. The camera gets it all. In other words, somebody is recording this instead of trying to help this gentleman. It's like, we got to keep filming, we got to keep filming. The camera gets it all. And then notice again the use of the colon. The Marine leaning out the chopper bay, his face, his fists beating time. So now we're back to the music again. Then the hands giving way, and of course, as the chopper takes off. Of course, this last line, the hands giving way, is a powerful line because it works on so many levels, right? It works obviously at the literal level, that is to say, the gentleman who was grabbing hold of the skis can't hold on forever. Of course, there's other political hands giving way. Some argued that, of course, what the United States did to the South Vietnamese was horrifying at the end, especially the Exodus. For those of you that have seen a 3A observation, a film like The Killing Fields comes to mind immediately here. At level 2A, what are we going to say for a major theme or message here? Obviously, the insanity of war and the ways in which you have multiple variants happening simultaneously because of war as a form of conflict resolution. And at the end, of course, a war is always its most horrific, especially for, in the case of the Vietnam War, for the Americans who were quickly trying to get out to escape. At level 2B, notice you have the convergence of these two different worlds, the world of pop culture and the world, of course, of the diminution of Saigon in '75. And as well as we pointed out, the compelling verbs. At 3A, well, there's so many texts that we could place here. I'll just mention Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried, a short story that we've lectured out of Roberts on page 97. What for You is the text. I mentioned a number of films. Two that come to mind. I mentioned Killing Fields. The other one is Francis Ford Coppola's classic Apocalypse Now, a text that you might want to give some time to as well. Finally, at 3B, there is this question: how do you resolve this notion of living between two worlds, the pop culture, the real world, and the ways in which media, film especially, video, trying to capture the mayhem and the insanity, and at the same time passing commentary on the insanity or the artful mayhem as it's referred to. I hope that this text will lead you to more of Wojahn's stuff, as well as maybe a closer study of the Vietnam experience. Thank you.